name. So I was informed by porn and movies, and a few conversations with my friends, like a very few. Like we didn't really talk about a lot, and mostly we just talked about masturbating, and like I was informed in that area, and we knew a lot about. But porn was like, I guess, the main thing, and a lot of things. I mean, there's so much porn. And so like they always say there's a porn of it, if it exists there's a porn of it, but there's not really a porn of consensual speaking back and forth between each other, asking, can we do this, can we do that? And so it's really funny because most of it, like we think there's a porn for everything, but almost all porn that I watched was males are the expert and they know what's going on and they don't even need to ask ever. So that was the one that spoke to me, is like they are always experts and they always know. And so an example of how I kind of fell into the script was I've been known to say the word baby, which I never would say, but because they say it in movies sometimes, like, yeah, baby. Or like, hey, baby. Like that's just not something I would do, but that's a performance of my traditional masculinity, which doesn't fit, and so I like almost try and become this kind of like stone, like sexy, like quiet, like knows everything expert, and this is the person I was. I'm like, hey, this is who I am now. Like as soon as the lights go down, this is who I become. You don't know me, but this is who I am. So I was the expert, and the truth was, obviously, I wasn't the expert. And you know, who is the expert? I mean, the expert. Different people are different, and you can't just know automatically what somebody likes and what somebody wants. And so when I realized that recently, I realized communication is key. And so that's one thing. Another aspect of the traditional sexual script that affected me was player kind of mentality. So this is the script that says like guys are winning, and they're winning at life if they can have a lot of sex with girls, or if they can have 2 girls at once, or if they can just keep on having sex and having one-night stands, then guys are winning at life. And I thought in grade 10 and grade 11, I was like, that's me, that's gonna be me, I can win, I can do it. And so this is that ladder, that kind of sexual ladder I was trying to climb. It basically meant that I would become that kind of character, and I would try and flirt and try and get with girls, and I got with one, and so I was now in a relationship with one girl. And it wasn't going to be a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship, because then you're not winning. It had to be just like, oh yeah, we're dealing. Dealing was the cool word. So we were dealing. And the thing about dealing was that when you're dealing, you don't have to care about that girl's emotions, because if you care about her emotions, you're not going to be winning, because you can't care about her emotions, because then you can't get other girls at the same time. And if you're not getting other girls at the same time, you're losing. You're in a monogamous relationship, and you're losing if you're in that. So what's funny about this is that like I got this from I don't even know where, because like what ended up happening was I ended up flirting and getting in another relationship. So I now had these 2 relationships going, and I thought I was the king of the world. And I thought this was like, oh, my friends are gonna think I'm so cool. But it turns out that when I would tell them, because I would tell everybody, because this is like, that's like the reason for it. It wasn't that I was enjoying it, like inherently. It was that I wanted to tell people. So when I would tell people, they would actually respond with like, you're a dick. And I was like, and I would take it like, oh, you're just jealous, because I'm winning. And so where did I get this from? I'm not really sure, but it definitely guided me. And I feel like I'm not alone. And so the player, and well, really what ended up happening in that area was that I hurt these girls' feelings a lot. I trampled over their feelings, and I didn't care about them that much. I would care about them, but when I'm external to that, I would say that I don't care about them, and I would try and become that person who doesn't care about them. And so one day I kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, you really hurt someone's feelings, and it kind of began to dawn on me, but I didn't realize what traditional sexual scripts were. So as I moved out of that, I joined a new script, which was becoming the good boyfriend, and so that was a better script. But at the same time, I didn't realize that you could have it all in front of you and just choose the logical response. You didn't need to exist within one of these hierarchies, one of these ladders. So those are the two stories I'm going to share, and the expert and the player. And so once I kind of broke free of those, and now that I'm breaking free of them, I'm realizing communication is great. It's so great, and working from the ground up and developing that script that works is so fantastic. And that's, I guess, my advice. And just kind of recognizing that, hey, like maybe we should critically think about these kind of things that we never really thought about.
Alright, it's my turn. Okay, so I really like that Manya talked about our masculinity and our femininity. I thought that was cool. And I love that word, let's pour it. Anyway, so what I was saying before about like the actor being very aggressive and open, so I guess I understand these traditional scripts and like, very observant of them, but I would say they have very, very little effect on how I act around guys, girls, in the bedroom and in public. I like to dominate and be dominated. It depends on the day, how I feel. And I would just say like I understand and I see it, but I don't take it into my own context. I'm not sure if that's because of my genetics or like the environment I was built in or everything coming together, but I kind of see myself as a contrast to what the classic girl has been taught to be. So having said that, but in terms of relationships, especially I'm in fourth year now, but back in my first and second year, like I was definitely like not as confident, a little bit insecure, and I was in a physically abusive relationship. So he was the classic example of a guy who didn't fit into that man box, and he tried so hard. He joined the rugby team, but told me he never really fit in. Very sensitive, and he just didn't know. It was just very obvious he didn't know how to handle the pressures or like be okay with himself. I guess the effects of that were like me being naturally aggressive as well. The effects of that would be if ever he felt emasculated, only in private he would just lash out at me. So that was a big learning experience for me, and that's actually why I kind of joined this committee, and I'm on this panel today. So yeah, that's kind of my little tidbit, and then I think I'll just throw in words here and there.
So I'm like gonna try and talk about random things and my thoughts, but basically kind of where my passion is in this issue lies is back in high school, everyone's favorite time of year, best years of my life. That was when I really started to understand the ideas of masculinity and femininity, not just as scripts to follow, as been talked about, but also as like regulatory and disciplinary kind of notions that people use to bully and use to kind of relegate people into and fit people into different ideas. And so I understood that when I went through puberty, I felt so gypped by puberty. I was like, what the hell? You didn't even deepen my voice. Like, come on. Give me something to work with. So I was like, puberty did me no favors in high school. And it was like, yeah, you're just going to stick out like a sore thumb. And I was like, thanks for that one. So I tried my best to kind of fit in with what I knew to be masculine. So I would never tell anyone that my favorite singer was Mariah Carey, because like that'd be alarm bells going off in everyone's head, being like, why does he like Mariah Carey? Shut up, she's great. So I said it was the Black Eyed Peas, and I was like, well, okay, sure. Super indie. So anyway, so that was my attempt at being masculine kind of in high school, whereas kind of my retreat was to video games, and I played World of Warcraft for 5 years. And what was cool about World of Warcraft was you create a character and you kind of create this persona, and you can imagine yourself to be whatever you be. So I played like a female human priest, so like kind of like the girliest girly, like you're the healer, you take care of everyone. So like, but it was interesting for me because I got to kind of negotiate my own identity and my own experience through that person and through that character that I was playing. But then I came to university and was like, I don't really want to spend all my time on a video game. That was kind of boring. But like what I've been taught in high school is gay is feminine, feminine is